if anybody wanted to follow up and get some of the instructions from us, that we can include that. So
can I record it as well? Can we record it as well?
I'm not sure, Claudia, but we will share the link with you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Then that's fine.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Well, you know what? It's 6 o'clock, so I'm going to open officially IEW 2021. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for making it. It is obviously a little bit different than what we normally do, but we got together in Alain and we just simply felt that we wanted something engaging, and that's hopefully what you will feel as well, that it's something engaging. I thought what I would do, just because there are always new faces or people who maybe don't always know the full history of our group, I just thought I would do a very, very, very short little show here. So obviously, we have a theme. Not obviously, we have a theme. And we thought that we would do a theme around the thing that really started the ENHG. And the ENHG started in, let me see where my little tray is. Here. It started in 1977. And I don't know if you can even see that. Okay. But what we've got here is a tray that was given to the very first speaker in Abu Dhabi. And it says Emirates Natural History Group, Abu Dhabi, guest speaker, 1977. And this was, in fact, to the very first chairman, who is not who you think it is. So let me just go back a little bit, or tell you a little bit about, oh, of course, I can't move why can't I move? Here. My presentation. I used this particular presentation for another IEW, so I'm not going to go all the way through it. I'm only going to show you a few slides, but I wanted to let you know that this is, if you like, a part of a story that I was telling. Much earlier on, I told a first part of a story where I had left out some people because I didn't know about them. And then Keith, at the time, who was the chairman in Abu Dhabi, told me, well, you know, you might want to also talk about this other fella. And so that then got me going on the second part. And the only thing I want to tell you is a little bit about the first two key members, just in case some of you don't remember them or don't know about this anymore. And the story goes that in Abu Dhabi, this particular man, Bish Brown, was very keen person to observe, to record in terms of either drawings, writings, photographic records, what he saw in the natural environment. And it was him who really, he was the brain child behind all of this, pulling people together to share their experiences in the natural environment, and he kind of had like-minded people that joined him, and this grew. The ENHG grew out of just this person being interested and sharing what he was seeing. And don't forget, there was no internet. There's very difficult. It was snail mail. People needed to write letters to get identifications confirmed and so on. And so it was a very different process than what we can do now. And so the ENHG is generally really associated with Bish Brown starting it. But very interestingly and far less well known is this fella, who is, in fact, John Stuart Smith. And some of you will remember that John Stuart Smith basically was the very first chair. And we managed to bring him out here. We, in fact, gave him the Bish Brown Award, basically years and years after he had left the UAE and had made his contributions. And we brought him back, and he managed to meet Sheikh Nahyan, and he gave talks to Abu Dhabi, he gave talk to Alain. I can't remember if he gave a talk to Dubai, but anyway, we shared him, and it was lovely for him to be recognized much later in life. I mean, he's well into his 80s now. So when I first managed to contact him, it was hilarious because he was so thrilled to hear from us. And, you know, he said, what a pleasant surprise to hear from you and the ENHG, my child. So he was really very, very closely associated. He has stories to tell us of meeting one of the rangers of Sheikh Zayed, and also Sheikh Zayed. He met him, and just telling stories about him. And he also has done an amazing record just drawing birds. He is a fantastic birder. He still is. And we have his diaries, which we need to do something with. There a lot of hand-drawn pictures of birds and so on. And you see, the thing is that this is all in keeping with our theme for this year, which is to go back to the origins, all about observe, record and report, to bring us back. Even though we're in the middle of a pandemic, some of us can't go very far, but we are still able to go out and enjoy a walk or enjoy nature wherever we are, whether it's in our gardens, on our balconies. I had a hoverfly visit my tiny little plants and in my balcony in Dubai the other day, which was just so thrilling. So there is something that we can all do towards this. But just to maybe inspire you a little, I just thought I would share a few images of why we enjoy the natural environment in the UAE. So just a little idea in terms of why we enjoy our natural environments. You might have noticed that some of those images were not just the UAE, but also Northern Oman, which is more difficult to go to. But it is people like these two gentlemen and many other like-minded men and women that we have enjoyed meeting, sharing, observing together. And this is why we thought that our theme, just to go right back, don't get dizzy whilst I do that, is all about observe, record, report for this particular IEW. With that, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a sec. And, okay, just say that in a minute, we're going to tell you a little bit about how we think that we can all together, even though we're all so far apart and in different places, bring the community together in terms of observing and recording or reporting and recording and reporting. But before we do that, I want to tell you that we have a final part to IEW, apart from the recording part, which Roxanne will tell you about, which is a photo competition. We thought that this is something that everybody enjoys every time we get together. And just because it's virtual, we thought we would still go ahead. And I have to thank Geraldine very much for, at the very last minute, entertaining some queries from me. So I'm going to share another document with you. And this document will be shared with everyone. I will try and see when Roxanne is talking whether I can upload it into the chat. So don't worry if you can't take all of that in right now. But what we thought we would do is we are opening the IEW photo competition as of today. We're very interested in you participating with 3 photographs. And we have categories just like we normally do. So contrasts, architecture, animals and plants in the wild, people of the UAE and Oman, scapes and youth. And I'll let you read all of this in peace a little bit later, but the most important thing is that we would like you to submit them by the 31st of May. So you've got time. And we would like to limit the time of the photograph being taken from a year ago now, so March last year, up until the 31st of May. And what we are going to do is then on the 8th of June, we're going to have, on a Tuesday, we're going to have a talk. So I think it's at 6 o'clock. And please join for that. And we will actually do the voting through people's choice. So I'm going to put the photographs together in their categories, present them, and then we will have a voting system where you all that join can vote for the best photograph that you like. We may have a prize. That's something that we haven't actually decided yet. We probably will have. So it's definitely worth doing. And what's very important is that your 3 photographs have this information associated with them. What you could do is you send an email to enhgaa@gmail.com by the 31st of May with your 3 images. Each image should really not be any larger than 3 megabytes, I think we said. But it doesn't have to be huge because even smaller images show up very well on a PowerPoint, obviously, which this format will be. So don't worry about it being too large. Just make sure that it can be sent by email. But then also maybe have an accompanying document, maybe a Word document or an Excel sheet where you've numbered each one of your photographs. You've got your name, email address and phone number, and or, doesn't matter, title for the photograph, where the photograph was taken, and if it was taken in your backyard, why not? Maybe with a GPS coordinate if you can't really give it a proper name. The category you're entering, even though I have to say that we may choose or we may move pictures into different categories depending on how many submissions we get. So this is just, if you like, a disclaimer. And then the judging will be done virtually by all of us that come that particular evening on June 8th. And there will also be a people's choice. Copyright will be taken very, very seriously. So we're not going to share the photographs, except for by entering, please give us permission to at least maybe put them into a newsletter. I know that Abu Dhabi, Dubai does that, and maybe reporting them on our website and in a low resolution so that people don't have to worry about their copyright. And then just a brief summary of that information. So 31st of May, the deadline, send your 3 photographs to this particular email, and you can use this little table if it helps you to put all of the information in per photograph. Okay, so as I said, don't worry if you couldn't take all of that in. I will be sharing that with the chairs of the 3 chapters, and then that can be disseminated with everyone. Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing that at this point. So can I ask if there are any questions up until this point before I hand over to Roxanne? Okay, that's great. And we'll take questions. We can take questions at the end. Claudia, did you have a question?
Yeah, it's so every member can share 3 photographs, every member.
Yes.
So it is not that each group has to select
No.
3 pictures. No. Okay.
No, everybody can send their photos. The more the merrier. This is why we've said only 3, because if, I don't know, if we have 20 people from each group that send 3 photos, that's going to be a lot of photographs, but it'll make for a fantastic evening of viewing. You know, so I really look forward to as many entries as possible. So just read the sheet a little bit more detail when you receive it. I'll put it actually once Roxanne's talking, I'll share it in the chat so that you've already got it, but then I'll also send it by email and people can disseminate it.
But
Okay.
how about us, Bridget? The shares can include their pictures or not?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody. We want to be as inclusive as possible, okay?
Okay.
All right, cool. This whole experience is all about as much inclusivity as possible. That's what I want to stress. Okay, well, with that, over to Roxanne.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So I'm just going to run through, let me share my screen. Desktop. So I'm just going to run through, sorry, bear with me a second. So we decided on 2 platforms where everyone can sort of get involved and get engaged and upload their observations for the IUW. So I'm just going to run through, sorry for skipping through that. I'm just going to run through from iNaturalist. I don't know if anybody uses it so far. I think members that are here already, Angela, I think you use it, you know, now and again. So it's a really good platform to upload all of your photos. And if you already know what species they are, you can sort of submit your identification, or anybody from all around the world can help you identify what you found. So what we've done is we've set up a project on iNaturalist where people can join the project. It's called ENHG Inter-Emirates 2021. And everybody's observations between today and the 8th of June will go into this project and be included, and we can all see everybody's observations in one place that have joined and are part of the IUW. So there's no restrictions on where you need to go. If you want to just do it in your garden, if you want to go into your local parks, or even going hiking and anywhere, you just take a photo. The thing with iNaturalist is you must have a photo so that people can help you ID and make sure that it becomes research grade, which means a couple of people have helped you ID, and then it can be used for research purposes or just a general database. So I will run through posting something or a couple of observations I made today in my lunch break. Let me just hop through. Sorry, I'm gonna have to unshare a second. Sorry, it's a bit slow. Okay, so this is our project page. If you sign up for iNaturalist, you can use your browser or an app, and you can find the project under community. So community projects, and it comes up as ENHG Inter-Emirates 2021. And what happens is, so I have observations already on there because of the settings. I just want to show you what happens. So all of the observations I've made and also Brigitte's made goes onto this one collective, let's say, and we can see who's made the most observations, which species have been recorded, the most observed species, and we can really try and get everyone to sort of contribute to this and try and get a lot of engagement. So, and then also you can see where these observations have been made in the UAE. This is mostly in Shalka. There's, I think, some in the DDCR and also my home. So what you can do, if you do take a photo in your garden and you don't want people to know where you live, you can set the location to be a bit more wider, and so that nobody really knows where exactly your home is. So let me try and upload. So it's much easier on the phone. You can do this quite immediately, but what I've done is I've got to drag. Got to drag a photo that I took today. And it does suggest species. So it's obviously picked up the flower, but I don't want to submit the flower. I want to submit that it's so I think it's a red dwarf honeybee, and it automatically uploads the date that I took it and the time, and then obviously my location. I can then sort of make that a little bit less. That's my house, put it over there a little bit, update observation, and submit. Can everyone see this okay? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Just take a little while. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our page, and hopefully it's come up as an observation. So I can go onto that observation. Make that a bit bigger. And it will give you all of the information. And at the bottom there, I've suggested an ID. But Brigitte can come along and maybe disagree with me or agree with me and suggest an identification. So you can type in your identification there. And then what I need is somebody to agree with my ID for it to become research grade. And research grade means that it's got a bit of backing to it, and it means that the ID has been made properly. Another thing is it's being added to another project, so Biodiversity of the Middle East, which is great as well. Yes, so what I'll do is after this, I'll reset the project to start today. And so that means that I will no longer have the most observations. So I hope that's clear for everybody. Is that okay? I'll then go back to
So Roxanne, I tried to just add a comment.
Yeah.
It's just trying to save. And by the way, just a quick question. So we don't necessarily need to know the ID, right?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I missed that part. So you can put it into a bigger umbrella. So I could say that it's a bee, a wasp, and an ant. I can put it into a much larger umbrella, and then at least it goes into some sort of group, and somebody with more more experience and more that they can then help ID it.
Mm-hmm. And just so that you can see, so I've got it on my app. So here's the photograph, and then I've been able to add correct as a comment.
Yes, what you need to do is say, does it say anywhere agree with ID?
Yes.
Yes,
yeah.
you need to click that as well, because then it becomes research grade.
Yeah, you see I've done it, and it's just going to go round and then it'll save it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. And so the most competitive among us, I don't know if there's any competitive people here today, but we'll sort of along the way trying to get more people to get involved. And, you know, at least it will show how many observations you've made, how many species you've found. And yeah, I just think it's a good way to sort of get everybody out and about, recording what they see. The next platform is eBird. I don't have a lot of experience with eBird like iNaturalist, but it's very similar. The difference is you don't necessarily need to upload photos. So you could go out anywhere, if it's your back garden or any hotspot you think there's a few birds around, you can sit or walk through and do a checklist of all the birds that you see and how many. One thing is you need to be a little bit more confident with your identification skills of the birds. So because you don't have to submit photos, you need to be a little bit more, you know, you need to know sort of what birds that you see. And there's also not really a place where we can combine all of our observations like iNaturalist. So that is really good to add to the bird records in the UAE, and it's used a lot by very enthusiastic birders and everything. If you don't want to use eBird, you can also add it to iNaturalist. The only thing is you do need a photo to do that. So, and if you don't necessarily want to get involved in the apps or any of these two platforms, you can get involved in other ways. You can contribute to our newsletters, whichever chapter. Also come and join our monthly lectures. And if you have any questions or suggestions, please get in touch either via email or follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Yes. Can I hand over to you now, Brigitte? Any questions?
Okay, let's just have a look in the chat if there's any questions that you could answer there. Do you know, Roxanne, so I know that the reason that we thought this was good collectively is that, you know, you could identify something, I could go in and say, yes, I think that's correct, but then somebody else could come in and say, well, actually, I don't think it is because of that. And so there is actually a way of then building that community, which is great for learning as well, because, you know, identification features could be added or behavioral observations and so on. And this is where it's great to then work together. So it's not only about just posting a photo, but it's maybe about learning collectively a little bit more about that species, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, could I ask if there are any questions from anyone?
Yeah, I have a question. I would like to know, so it's fine for you when we share it on Facebook, on our Instagram and maybe website, and maybe we bring also a picture in the newsletter because it's in preparation. because I think this would make sense to have just the picture of the Inter-Emirates weekend and iNaturalist in it. What do you think?
Absolutely. We've got a flyer of 3 pages, which I think, did I send you that, Claudia? I think I did, right?
I will check if it's attached on the email. I was
It
pretty
was.
busy, but I will check
Yeah.
when it was attached on the email. So you think we should just attach it because we have at the moment problems with Tidy Club. I have to admit this, and I cannot realize that it sent out everything by Tidy Club.
No worries at all. I think there's only one change, and that's because when Geraldine and I were talking a little bit earlier today, we thought we'd give people the maximum time for the photo competition. So the initial date in our announcement email for the photo collection submission deadline was Sunday, 16th of May. We've now extended that to the 31st of May, just to give people an extra few days, particularly as it's going to be all about people's choice, right? So the only real work on our end then to prepare is not going to take more than 2 or 3 days, because we'll organize the photos and put them into PowerPoint and get all the notes together, but we don't have all the voting to do and so on. So actually preparation isn't going to take us more than just a few days, which is why we thought, let's give everybody a little bit more time. So that's the only difference between the first email sent out by ENHGR Lane with the announcement of this IEW experience. Everything else is the same. So even though for the IEW experience, we're going to have a closing ceremony on Thursday, the 8th of April, it's really more to focus everybody to do recording, but we are going to continue, right, Roxanne? We're going to keep it open.
It's the 8th of June, sorry.
Oh, sorry, 8th of June?
Yeah.
Closing ceremony. No, that's the photo presentation.
Ah.
The 8th of June is the photo presentation. Yeah. I think we said a closing ceremony just to focus people's minds in terms of using iNaturalist for as much as they can. And we would give like a little summary of what had come in at that point. But we said we would leave it open after that, for probably until the 8th of June and our closing photo presentation. But just to focus people's mind on going out whilst it's not too hot, even if it's just into your garden, to record. We thought we would just kind of focus people's minds up until the 8th of April. Then we've got the photo collection date of the 31st of May. And then the 8th of June, we've got the photo presentation. Okay. So the only change then is just the deadline for the photographs. So can I ask, are there any other questions? Hang on, there is something in the chat. Ah, super. Yeah, thank you for that. Roxanne, you want to tell everybody about that little course that you've just sent on the chat?
Yeah, so it's, I haven't done it myself yet, but it's a very short course on how to use eBird and how to submit your records. So eBird's a little bit more complicated than iNaturalist. They really want to get the species right and the numbers right. And so I think it's a good way to sort of get more familiar with using the platform, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have any of you used either of these platforms before?
I had to look at eBird, but I have not used it because for me it's a little bit critical when I see how wrong you can be with the birds, at least with the subspecies. Yeah, when I send something to Oscar, I know the main genus is correct, but the subspecies can be different. And it might be a different which gray shrike it is. So eBird is for me personally a bit critical for species that we cannot, where we are not an expert for. I have to say this.
Do you think, Claudia, that it's a good way for people to learn how to differentiate them then by leaving comments and discussing?
I don't know. I find it better in iNaturalist with the pictures. You know, when you have a picture, then you have more possibilities to qualify the species than with eBird. This is personally my feeling. That's why I never said in eBird I have made this and this record, because from the scientific point, I find it not so ideal when you are not experienced birder.
Yeah, that's fair. We actually reached out to Tommy Pedersen, didn't we, Roxanne?
Yes, we did. But we didn't, I think he's traveling, so we didn't manage to get him.
But he seems quite keen to support us, I think, in that. Yeah.
Yeah, when he does, you know, when we have someone, I think we could also ask Oscar if he has time. It's the same category. They both are very experienced. But with the birds, I think we need someone who is really an expert. I know many birds, but I would not say I'm an expert at all. So
I know none.
this is just a critical point. We need someone like Tommy Patterson or Oscar with us to do this. And photos. People need to send photos. Without photos, it's no use.
Yeah. Angela.
Yeah, that's interesting about photos, you know, because one of the things about iNaturalist is that I was participating in the citizen science to identify butterflies and dragonflies. But actually, there's a danger that your data is skewed because some of the butterflies are just impossible to photo. And so what I'm finding is that I'm taking photos of, you know, common and slower species and then putting sometimes in my comments, oh, but I also saw X, Y, and Z, but it was just impossible, you know, to take a photo of them. Now, I like iNaturalist because I like the way, you know, the clever artificial intelligence tool there is it looks at what you've taken a photo of and it gives you suggestions. But, you know, I mentioned previously, Brigitte, on the previous talk that I had the impression that it was only experts who could actually give a comment on what they thought you'd taken a photo of. But there was a comment came back from Jackie Judas when this dialogue started about one of the insects that I'd uploaded, because the identifier went into a lot of detail why he thought my observation, which I'd taken from, you know, the insects of Eastern Arabia, was incorrect. And Jackie Judas was saying, yeah, you know, he said, I'm glad you've got that debate going, because he had the impression that many people just say, yeah, I agree with that observation, I think it's correct, without actually coming from a basis of knowledge. I mean, I don't claim to be able to identify things. I'm quite happy to put the photos up and say, hey, I saw this, I'm not really sure what it is. And I mean, actually, some of the observations that I've put up, you know, on marine life, they just sit there and nobody actually identifies them. So, yeah, but it's interesting, you know, because I like that sort of interaction.
I think you're right. And you know what, I like it for that dialogue side. And when we were discussing, I mean, it was Geraldine who said, well, you know, I want something engaging, something that we can learn a little bit from. And I think this is what's going to happen here. That dialogue is really critical for us. And I think it's very worthwhile. And, you know, I kind of don't want people to feel that you always have to get things right. It's about the process. It's about learning. And hopefully people will, you know, support that and thank you, Felicita, and kind of, you know, help us to learn, because that's what we want to do. That's when we go out in the field, that's what we do collectively, right? We look, we discuss, we figure out, and that's what we were trying to recreate with this experience here today. And you know, what I don't like about, I mean, I belong to all sorts of Facebook groups that you know, well, a lot of people join these groups because they want help with identifications. And so often people are chastised by the moderators. Oh, this is not a group where you send your photographs for identification. You know, this is for discussion by experts. Well, for goodness sake, you know, why shut down people who want to learn? That's the whole process. If you're interested in wildlife, that's a wonderful thing. And if you're going to get put off by somebody who can't be bothered to help, you know, shame on them. So this is where I think this is going to be a slightly different experience. And what we will try and do is we will try maybe to give some highlights of the discussion that's been going on. And I'm sure we'll all learn. I know if it's about birds, I'll learn everything because I know nothing. They eat my insects, forgive me, but you know, they're not on my favorite list. So, you know, but it's going to be cool. We can kind of look at all different things. And with iNaturalist, it allows us to branch out into the different areas that we're all interested in. It doesn't have to just be the one thing. But for those that are, you know, that have some more specific expertise, and I think, Claudia, you're probably, you know, kind of almost pushing down the knowledge that you have, because, you know, it's great that you know about birds, and you probably know far more about birds than a lot of us. So there's nothing wrong with kind of suggesting something, and then that dialogue that we were talking about is really important. So nobody be put off, everybody try, and that little video should help if we're not too sure about how to do this. And also just reach out to us. So the ENHGAA, you can use that also for queries. 2 or 3 of us are checking this on a regular basis now. So, you know, anytime you would like a little bit of support, just ask, and we can help with that. And the good thing is there's no stress. We don't have to do it all in a weekend. We've got several weeks to go out, even if it's just, you know, looking out of the window. I'm hoping that more of you have got the opportunity. And let's see where this takes us. But it certainly is in tune or in sync with our overarching motto of the Natural History Group, which is to observe, to record and report. And that's where I kind of almost go, well, it's 45 minutes into this discussion, and I really don't have much more to say. But let me just check. Val, do you have any questions you think that the members in Dubai might have? Sorry to put you on the spot.
I don't think so, Brigitte.
Okay.
You are going to send out the instructions again about iNaturalist, aren't you? So we can send them to the membership.
Yes.
And also the photographic competition.
Yes. We have also put it into the chat, so you can download the file, or I think Melanie has put it up on a Google Drive for us as well. So you could actually copy that link, but we can send all of that later as well.
Yes, please. I'm not very good at Google Drive and odd things like that, I'm afraid.
That's okay, no worries at all. Hopefully there'll be no barriers. There should be some different possibilities. Val, did you get the 3 flyers? You must have done, because
yes, I did.
Yeah, okay. All right, so we'll send out the full flyer.
I've sent out all the flyers to the whole membership.
Okay, cool. So we will then send the full flyer, which is a little bit longer, and then also the photographic competition information. Thank you. After we sign out. And I'll send it to Val, to Claudia, and to Felicita, okay? And then you guys can send it out to other people, all right?
Yeah. Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you very much. Felicita, any questions from your side? How is RAC? Oh, can't hear you.
Can you still not hear me? No, it should be unmuted.
Yeah, it's very quiet. Hey, hi.
Oh, I may have turned it off. Yeah. Anyhow, no questions. All good.
All right, super. Great to see you.
Nice to see you guys.
Okay, good. All right. Anybody else? Any questions at all?
No.
No? All right, cool. Well, we can just chat if you like. Geraldine, anything to add?
I noticed there was a question in the chat
Okay.
A while ago, I forget who from, about the photo competition. Is it open to anyone at all in the UAE?
It's open to any member of the 4 ENHGs.
Yeah, exactly. Because if we open it to anyone at all, then that would be. I mean, the national competitions here get thousands of entries, don't they? And we can't cope with that.
That's right. Now, it has to be a member of the 4 natural history groups. No way to police that, of course, but and Margaret would argue that we don't have a membership right now because nobody's paid up. But there's not much we can do about that right now.
But I think we know who our members are.
yeah, I think we do. So, yeah, actually, that's a point. I don't know that I've put that on that information sheet. We might need to know which group. I may just amend the form to just add that category. Didn't think of that. Yeah, to just say which group we're from.
Yeah,
all right.
Good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Melanie, did we forget anything? Let me just see. Yeah. Yes, Angela. I have got a collection of owl pellets. Should we stop recording now if we have no other questions about